Have you ever looked at a headline, something terrible, something inhuman, and thought to yourself, I could never do that. I'm not like those people. It's comforting, isn't it? This belief that there are good people and bad people, that the world is divided neatly into heroes and villains, and you're safely on the right side. But what if I told you that belief is a lie? Because the truth we don't want to admit is that the line between good and evil does not separate us from them. It runs straight through every single human heart, and under the right circumstances, even good people, people who pay their taxes, love their families, and hold doors open for strangers, can cross that line. This is what psychologist Philip Zimbardo called the Lucifer Effect. And once you understand it, you will never see yourself or the world the same way again. In 1971, Zimbardo conducted one of the most infamous experiments in history, the Stanford Prison Experiment. He gathered 24 healthy, intelligent, ordinary college students. Half were randomly assigned to be guards, the other half prisoners, locked in a simulated prison in the basement of Stanford University. It was supposed to last 2 weeks. It lasted 6 days. Why? Because within 36 hours, the guards, ordinary young men with no criminal history, began humiliating the prisoners. They shouted at them, dehumanized them, forced them to do degrading tasks. And the prisoners, they submitted, they cried, they begged for release. Some even began accepting their abuse as if they deserved it. The transformation was so fast, so shocking, that Zimbardo himself had to shut it down. This wasn't a story about bad apples. It was a story about the barrel itself, the situation, the system, the environment that turned good, normal people into something else entirely. And that's why the Lucifer Effect is terrifying, because it doesn't just live in textbooks. It's in history, in society, in us. You want proof? Look at Nazi Germany. Millions of ordinary citizens, teachers, bakers, fathers, mothers, followed orders that led to unthinkable atrocities, or the Rwandan genocide, where neighbors turned on neighbors, or segregation in America, where entire communities accepted injustice, not because they were evil, but because they were silent. It's easy to look at these events from a distance and think, I'd never be like them, but that's what every single person who participated probably thought before they did. And if you think you're different, let me tell you about another experiment, Stanley Milgram's obedience study. In this experiment, participants were instructed to deliver electric shocks to a learner every time they made a mistake. The shocks weren't real, but the participants didn't know that. And here's the chilling part. 65% of people obeyed. They pushed the button. They shocked an innocent person because a man in a lab coat told them to. Not because they were cruel, not because they were monsters, but because they were human. Now, maybe you're thinking, okay, but I'd still be one of the few who say no. Really? Let's bring this closer to home. Have you ever stayed quiet when you should have spoken up? Ever gone along with something you didn't agree with because it was easier? Ever laughed at a cruel joke you didn't actually find funny, just so you didn't stand out? That's the shadow. Hannah Arendt called it the banality of evil. Evil isn't usually loud or obvious. It's quiet. It's ordinary. It's people saying, I was just doing my job. And that's why the Lucifer Effect is so dangerous, because it doesn't start with grand atrocities. It starts with tiny choices, a look away, a silence, a shrug, until, like drops of ink in a glass of water, the clear becomes clouded, and you don't even notice when it's no longer clear at all. Let me give you a metaphor. Imagine you're holding that glass of water. You drop a single dot of black ink into it. At first, it's nothing, a little swirl, barely noticeable, but then you add another drop, and another, and another. Slowly, the glass grows darker. No single drop ruined it. But over time, the entire glass is unrecognizable. That is how corruption of character works, not in one dramatic leap, but in quiet, invisible steps. And this is why you need to understand the Lucifer Effect. Because if you can see it, if you can catch those first drops, you can stop it before it takes over. So how do you resist? How do you keep your glass clear in a world full of ink? Philip Zimbardo himself, after decades of research, gave us the answer. And it's simpler and harder than you think. First, you question the system, not just the person. When you see something wrong, don't just ask, who's at fault? Ask, what's allowing this to happen? Because most of the time, evil isn't a single villain. It's a structure, a culture, a rule no one questions. Blind obedience is how good people outsource their morality. Second, you recognize the power of small choices. Every time you choose silence over speaking, conformity over questioning, you're adding another drop of ink to your glass. But the same is true for good. Every small act of courage, every moment you choose integrity over comfort, adds clarity back to that water. As the Stoics said, what we do repeatedly, we become. Guard your habits, and you guard your soul. Third, and this is the hardest, you choose courage over comfort. Because doing the right thing is rarely comfortable. It doesn't feel heroic. It often feels lonely. It can cost you friends, approval, security. But every act of courage, no matter how small, pushes the ink back. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, I watched a man on a crowded train berate a young woman for no reason. Everyone froze. Everyone stared. Nobody moved. And for a moment, neither did I. Then an older woman stood up. She walked over, calm but firm, and said, "That's enough. Leave her alone." It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. But in that second, it broke the spell. Others spoke up. The man backed down. And I'll never forget what she said after. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision that fear won't decide for you. That's it. That's how you fight the Lucifer Effect. You don't wait for the world to be easy. You decide, in the smallest, quietest moments, that you won't let the ink spread. When I first read about the Lucifer Effect, I was terrified, not because it showed me how dark people can be, but because it forced me to look in the mirror. We all want to be the heroes of our own story. But heroism isn't about slaying dragons. It's about the quiet choices, the ones nobody applauds, the moments where you choose integrity, even when nobody's watching. Because if the shadow lives in all of us, then so does the light. And every day, in 100 small ways, you're either feeding one or the other. So here's my challenge to you. The next time you see something wrong, don't look away. The next time you feel pressure to just go along, ask why. And the next time you think you'd never be capable of something terrible, remember this: you are capable of anything. And that's not just a warning, it's a promise. Because if you can fall, you can also rise. If you can be ordinary in the face of darkness, you can also choose to be extraordinary in the face of it. And in a world full of silence, be the one who speaks. Because that's how you beat the Lucifer Effect. Not by pretending you're immune to it, not by denying the darkness in you, but by confronting it and choosing over and over again that no matter how dark it gets, you will not be the ink.